receive it, I'm already walking in it. And when I get there, I'll be even more excited and full of joy because I would have known he prepared the way. So let's be ready to walk in our greatness because your greatness lies at the edge. So I don't know if you have your Bible today, but if you do, I have several scriptures we're going to reference and go to because I'm not going to just come to you and just speak a word. I'm going to use God's word to encourage you today. So we're going to go to John chapter 4, verses 4 through 14. And everybody is probably familiar with that chapter, I'm sure, with the woman at the well. So it says, now he had to go through Samaria. So he came to a town in Samaria called Sychar, near the plot of ground Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there, and Jesus tried as he was from the journey, sat down by the well. It was about noon when a Samaritan woman came to draw water. Jesus said to her, will you give me a drink? His disciples had gone into the town to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, you are a Jew, and I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink? For remember, Jews do not associate with Samaritans. Jesus answered her, if you knew the gift of God and who it is that asks you for a drink, you would have asked him and he would have given you living water. Sir, the woman said, you have nothing to draw with and the well is deep. Where can you get this living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well and drank from it himself, as did also his sons and his livestock? Jesus answered, everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again. But whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a spring of water welling up to eternal life. So when I look at that scripture, that reminds me, the woman said, could you be possibly this person, or could you do this? She was immediately questioning God because she didn't even know who she was among. So just like the Samaritan woman, oftentimes God directs us to do something in our lives, and instead of moving as he directs us and guides us, we ask him questions. Or we start to say, God, are you sure you're saying that? And for others, when God is trying to speak to us, we are unsure if it is even him speaking. We're still trying to figure it out whether we're hearing God's voice. And so have he allowed so many things, we allow all the things of light to cloud our minds, to clutter us. And so our minds, we can't even clearly hear him speaking. And so when I say clutter our mind, that goes back to what First Lady said, that internal dialogue. You know, that head trash you share with yourself? Because we've all been there. Some of you might not be doing it now, but you were doing it a week ago maybe. Or you're doing it today, or you did it last night. But can I encourage you, that internal dialogue is dangerous. You know, they say you can have conversations with yourself. It's okay as long as you don't answer. That's a lie. It's not okay as long as you don't answer, especially if your conversation is always negative and you're never counteracting those negative thoughts with positive ones. In fact, you're doing more damage than you could possibly be doing good. So talking to yourself is not good if you're not encouraging yourself. So if you're always saying, I don't really like the way I look. Oh, I got the muffin top this week. Oh, I don't feel like if they say another word to me on this job, I might go off. See, because we switch, don't act like we don't switch sometimes. We save, but we have some of those moments. We can all be real. We save, but we have some of those moments where we go through. And then we're telling ourselves we can't. Or what if they don't give me the promotion? Or I shouldn't apply for that job because I don't meet all 10 requirements. I just meet 7. Where's your faith? The 3 God is going to teach you when you get on the job. But if you never step out there and take it and apply for the position, you might never actually get that opportunity. And the job probably had your name written on it. But you weren't really you wasn't ready to walk in your greatness, right? Because your greatness lies at the edge. You got to be willing to go and get it. So we got to be willing to do that. So I call that head trash. And so looking for the approval of others, see, most of us are looking around to see if the person to the left or the right of us is going to approve what we say and do. They do not matter. Your main focus should be whether God approves what you say or what you do. Because he's watching you all the time. Forget about whether your neighbor is watching you all the time. You don't really have to answer to them. But who you do have to make an account for when you come to those pearly gates is God. So will he be ready to walk and let you into those gates because you have done all you were supposed to do? So don't worry about what your neighbors feel about you, but most importantly, worry about what God has to say to you. So God's opinion should matter the most. It is imperative that we begin to quiet the noise. Because see, the world has so much going on around us. There's so much crime. There's so much abuse. There's so much violence. domestic war just in people against one another. So we have to be able to pull, like First Lady said, and step back and silence all the noise around us. Why? Because God is trying to speak to us. But we can't hear it because we got so much other noise going on. We got so much busy to-dos on our to-do list that we don't take time to put God first. See, we got to wake up in the morning and put him first so he can direct the rest of the day so we can go accordingly. But when you start your day off on your own, you don't know what you're encountering on that day. But when you start with God first on the day, you know that some things are going to come together. And when they get shaken, you know to go into your prayer closet and get some guidance quickly before you veer off left or veer off right. So we're going to read a little further in that same verse. We're going to go to 15. The woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water so that I won't get thirsty and have to keep coming here to draw water." He told her, "Go, call your husband and come back." She says, "I have no husband," she replied. Jesus said to her, "You are right when you say you have no husband. The fact is you had 5 husbands, and the man you now have is your husband. What you have just said is quite true." See, Jesus begins to tell her things about her life. And just like most of us, when we begin to hear God tell us something, we know it's right, we switch the subject. We said, "Oh God, did you remember we needed to talk today about?" He says, "No, I want to remind you about your attitude. Or I want to remind you about being in the spirit of gratitude. Or I want to remind you about that faith without works is just that dead." So if you say you believe in something, but you've not put any action to do something, how do you expect me to do it? See, I hear people all the time say, "I'm waiting on God to bless me." I said, "Why? Because he's waiting on you. He's always ready. You the one need to get ready. You should never be waiting on God. He is always waiting on you. But the problem is, most of you say, I want to accomplish this, I want to do this, I want to be great, you won't be willing to do what it takes to do that. See, because you're not willing to stay up a little late, or go to an extra Bible study, or an extra women's ministry meeting, but you want to have those positions, or you want to be able to move in a direction that God is moving you in, but you won't put in the work. You want to just stand where you are, but you can't grow standing where you are. So if you're looking for growth, you got to be willing to move, whether it's left or right. Let God direct which way you're going. Now, can I tell you, sometimes left might be wrong. That's okay. And our failure is where he can use us most. And our failure is where he will grow us most. So when you go left and you wrong, make sure you switch and go right. Because he's going to give us the direction to go right, but you just need to be listening. So when you go the wrong way, when he redirects you, be open. See, most of us not open because we done closed it off. We went left and we figured we just down. You better get back up and run hard. We are never down as long as we are women of God. He's just waiting for us to remember we're never down as long as we have him on our side. So we just got to be ready to get up and just run when that happens. So God says, "No, it's right," but we are ashamed, like the Samaritan women. Some of us are ashamed. She said, "Oh, I don't have a husband." Come on now, can we stop pretending that God don't know everything and see everything that we doing? He already know what you're thinking in your heart and mind before you say it out your mouth. So why are you pretending with him? If you having the wrong thought, tell him, "God, oh my God, I'm having the wrong thought. I want to check this lady at work because she just keep rubbing me the wrong way." So say it to him so he can give you the right way to check her, and she can get some growth, and so will you. Instead of you going and checking her in your flesh, because now y'all both in your flesh and you don't know how that's going to end. But when you can go to her in godly prayer, then it might end better, and she might be able to go to the next level. And in fact, your next level will be waiting. But we miss our next level because we're going to go to her and be like, "Girl, you say another word to me, I'm going to check you." See, that's not how we're going to do things as godly women. So if we can tell God that's how we feel, because he knows that's how you feel, and that's how we feel before we say something, but he'll give us that right spirit of how to say it. So we start changing the subject on God, and then God will remind us, "Wait a minute, I said I was talking about something. Why you go on and start talking about something different?" Because he'll remind us, because y'all hear that, right? Y'all say, "Oh wait, okay, so let's get back to that subject." Because we forget God is all knowing. So we're going to go to Psalms 139.
Come on here.
And I'm going to remind y'all that he's all knowing. He says, Psalms 139, 1 through 4. "You have searched me, Lord, and you know me." He knows you. Before you even got out of the womb, he knew you, so stop pretending. See, what's happening today, he already knew was going to happen today. I had no idea I'll be able to stand before you today. I could not have imagined that. My eyes had not seen what was coming forth today. But had he showed me this maybe a year ago, I wouldn't be standing here because I wouldn't have been ready. But he says, let me work on you and clean up your heart so when you go there, you'll be ready. So today I'm ready. I'm thankful. I'm grateful. Because he says in his word, and you know me. So he knows me. He already knew what he had to get me to get rid of in order to get me to where I am today. You know when I sit and when I rise. You discern my going and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely. So see, again, he already knows what we're thinking, what we're about to say, and he gives us a chance to do it right. But the problem is, do we take a minute to reflect and then do it right? Or do we act out in where we are in our flesh and just roll with it? No, we got to get before God and seek wisdom, seek guidance, and seek knowledge, and allow him to give us what it is he would have us to do when we move forward in that area. So let's go back to John 4. Y'all need to just be
work the word,
these pages because we're going in the word.
Yeah.
And we're going to finish, we're going down to 27. No, we're going to 18 first. 4:18. It says, the fact is, you have 5 husbands, and the man you now have is not your husband. What you have just said is quite true. So, notice how when she said she didn't have a husband, she went on to a different subject, right? But God quickly brings the attention back to the Samaritan woman. Why? Because he wants us to discover what's going on within ourselves. See, if we flip it and put it on other stuff, he can't even tell us what he's working on within us. So it's a teachable moment that he's trying to help us discover where we're lacking. So for me, 2 years ago, I had to go on a journey and discover where I was lacking. Where I was defeated at, because I was that person with all the internal dialogue and the head trash going on. So I had to allow God to work in me and cleanse me, and I said, God, create in me a new heart. Because the one I got right now it's burnt out. And so sometimes we have to be willing to admit when we need him to make a change in our life. Because at that moment, that change is needed in order for the course of the direction of your life to change. So had I not did that 2 years ago, I wouldn't be here today. Because God would have known I wasn't ready. So it says he's going on without ourselves and not be so concerned with what everyone else is doing that we forget what God has called us to do. See, in church, we worried about, oh, she on that ministry. Oh, she's serving on that ministry. She in everything. Why aren't you in something? Okay? Why aren't you serving on some ministry? See, God says come into the storehouse so that those on the outside can be brought inside. So why aren't you serving on a ministry? Because the church needs people to serve in order for the church to continue delivering, building, and transforming lives. So when we get caught up on what everyone else is doing, that we forget about what we're not doing. Why? Because we don't want to work on our own selves. So we need to start believing and working within ourselves so that we can get delivered, and get transformation and get direction from God so we can go to the next level. So we're going to go to 4:27 now. It says, just then his disciples returned and were surprised to find him talking with a woman. But no one asked, what do you want? Or, why are you talking with her? Then leaving her water jar, the woman went back to the town and said to the people, come see a man who told me everything I ever did. Could this be the Messiah? See, when the disciples returned, he wondered why Jesus was speaking with the Samaritan woman. You see, for so long, I questioned whether I was worthy for God to speak to me because of all my mess. See, some of us are missing out on that opportunity to hear from God because we're afraid that we've done too much. All the stuff in our lives has shaken us, so we feel, oh, we're just not worthy. Or the molestation, the rapes, all the bad stuff that you've done. The drugs, the alcohol, the abuse, all of those things. So when we get through those things, we think God we can't hear from him because we have all those things carrying on our backs. But he says, bring it to the altar in prayer and leave it here. When you return, it's already gone, but you got to first be willing to put it down. The problem is we're carrying it on our our shoulders. See, some of us got stuff that we've gone through when we were young kids that we're still carrying on, and God can't deliver us fully because we got that stuff on our shoulders weighing us down so hard that we can't get to the next level. So I declare, release all of those. She says, release the shackles. Release those shackles off of your back so that you can go to the next level where God would have you to be. But when you are carrying that weight, you can't do that. But I thank God I found out He is willing to not only speak to me, but use me. You see, I look beautiful today on the outside, and I do most things. Okay? But if I could be transparent with you, for a long time, I didn't look this good. See, I was broken on the inside. But what I was able to do was mask the outside. So when you saw me walk up in this church every Sunday and I smiled, I looked good to you. But on the inside, no one ever stopped to ask me, are you really doing good?
Okay.
Because then they might have seen that I had the mask on and be able to say, my sister, you are broken. See, how many of us are so caught up in our own self that you walk by a sister every Sunday in church and you don't stop to ask them, are you really sure that you okay? Because see, if you had asked me, I would say I'm blessed and highly favored, but I was broken on the inside. But I was able to mask it. But had someone really took time to ask me, they would have been like, you know what, you say, sis, that you blessed and highly favored, but I don't really know if that's true. See, I see some stuff on you that God is going to tell me to bless you and pray on you to get out. But we got to get out of ourselves and start actually ministering, because otherwise, why are you bringing all of them into the storehouse if you're not ministering to them? Because they're going to sit on the pews for a couple of Sundays, but then you won't see them any other Sundays after that. Why? Because nobody took time to talk to them. See, women are broken. Women are broken. We can show up here in our pretty hats and our pretty dresses and our suits, but your sister at the table got something going on with her. But if you don't ask, she don't have anybody to share it with. So she got to try and get through it on her own, but she should never have to do that, because God says, in my house is where it all is, so we should be able to pull on one another, pray with one another, and bless one another. So we got to remember that. So just like that Samaritan woman was ashamed, people would ask me, and I would say, you know, if they only knew what was on the inside, I was crumbling, I was falling apart. See, but I showed up as my representative, and I looked really good. But to the world, but God knows and sees all. See, I looked good to everybody that passed me, and I said, blessed and highly favored to. But God had to get me in my prayer time and say, my sister, my daughter, the one I love, the one I adore, you are not where I would have you to be. So I'm going to purge you. I'm going to shake you up a little. And I know you're going to wrestle back because of your flesh. You still going to make some left and turns when I say make rights. But as long as you remember that if you keep me first, I'll keep guiding you back to my kingdom, to my glory, and you'll be able to keep giving me the honor and the praise. Because although I was broken, I never once not showed up and gave him all the honor, the glory, and the praise. Because I knew in the midst of my brokenness, that's where he was going to build me up the most. So I encourage you to allow him to use you too. See, I was reminded in 2 Corinthians 12:9, you don't have to turn it, but I'll read it to you. It says, my grace is sufficient for you, and for my power is made perfect in weakness. So when I was weak, he was building me up, and I didn't even know it. See, all I could think is, God, how could you use even me? I'm broken, I'm scarred, I'm bruised. I got to get right before you can use me. He says, See, no one's ever going to get totally right. See, that's our problem. We think we're going to be without scar, without a scratch, without a bruise. But God says, absolutely not. When you're broken is where I'm going to use you most. And so that's where he was able to build me up and use me most in my brokenness. So again, that's why I said I don't take it lightly standing here before you, because now I look back and know that every bruise, every scratch, every scar, every purging was so that when today and any other day when he put me before people, those people will hear him and not hear me. Those people will be blessed by him and not see all of me. Because I don't want to be seen, but I want God to be heard. Through me talking, but knowing that it's him and I'm just being a vessel. Today I understand that. So when I enter into God's presence, I don't take it lightly, because I would believe God desires us in me to worship him with our whole heart. See, I don't know about you, but if I just take a minute to glance back over my life, glory to God. If you just take a minute shouldn't even be here speaking to you today.